Hey guys, it's Coach Jan here. Got my son Jet here, and today we're going to talk about the rear naked choke from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but applying it Tai Chi style. If you saw my previous video, I had to use this in person in real life. There was an attacker at my church. It was at my prayer group last Sunday, just before July 4th, and the guy came in and was running around after the elderly people in the space, and then came up to my mom and my son, and then tried to headbutt me. It was a whole thing, but essentially had to restrain the guy until the police came. And if it wasn't for Tai Chi and my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu training, I don't think that I would have been able to handle the situation with the level of sensitivity and compassion that comes from knowing how far you can go and being able to go just as much as needed. So rather than putting a choke on the guy and making him pass out, that wasn't necessary. I even thought about like, should I elbow this guy and make him bleed? He punched me in the face. Like, no, I don't need to do that. I get punched in the face all the time. It was really more so just like we just want this guy to be still. And how can this guy be still? Well, he might need some help. And my son, I've often said, having a child really changed the way that I look at grappling, because holding him, also changed the way I lift weights, because holding him made me realize that I was holding the object that I was holding was something that I cared so much about him as a person, as a being. I care so much about him. So when he was a baby, he'd fall asleep on me, and I would hit trees and do all my training with him asleep on my shoulder, and it changed the way I look at holding a person. And so, being able to put your breath and your care into whomever you're holding, even your weights, if you're doing weights and lifting an object, I'm lifting my phone right now like it's a dumbbell, but lifting it and exhaling through the object as if it's a part of you. The person you're holding is a part of you. Having that mentality is massive in terms of your sensitivity, augmenting your sensitivity in grappling, and augmenting your awareness, your sensitivity, your awareness, what you can do with it strategically, how you can get to your goal more efficiently. All this stuff happens when you care more. So right now, we're going to do the rear naked choke, and I'm going to talk about the way that I did on the previous video for the attacker, and my son is going to demonstrate on me. So this guy, the attacker, when I put him on the ground, I had to get behind him. He threw a punch in my face, and I caught me right in the lips. Well, I had this big little black and blue inside the lips. It's nuts. So I was like, okay, I gotta tie this guy's hands up so he doesn't do that again, and I hope he doesn't bite me. So I had to really slide this forearm, the blade of the forearm, underneath the neck. So I was lying on my back, or he was lying on his back, but he got me up, and I really want to talk about this. So Jet's going to slide him, and he's going to wrap his legs around me. The first thing he's going to go for is the neck. So he's pulling the neck back, and just so you guys know, I was just in a car accident as well. So like, my neck is a little sensitive, but I'm being very cautious. Jet's being very cautious. So he's going to slide his legs underneath me, try to roll me to the side, and slip this arm around. So we're going to go for the left arm. We're going to lead with the left arm. Let's go back out, rewind for a second. I'm going to move the camera so you guys can see even more. I'm going to get this little box, this little Tom McFarlane toy box. I highly recommend McFarlane action figures. They're fantastic. So here we go. So we got a little bit of height here for the camera. Jet's going to slide his legs around, or at least one, and get it around. He's going to bring his body as close to mine as possible. Bring his hips in. Great. And here. Awesome. So in this position, we're actually going to reverse it. Just going to use his right arm rather than left. So post with your, exactly. So we're going to go toward the camera here. So notice that my body is going to start falling on his leg. It'll cut off the circulation to his leg a little bit, which was challenging for me. I was holding for 45 minutes until the police came, restraining this guy. So it definitely affected my circulation in my leg for that moment. That was the most pain that I had. So that being said, Jet's other leg is going to wrap around as well, and he's going to get his hooks in. So he's going to get his hooks in, or he could. Some people say never fold the legs. Never fold your legs here, because somebody can come down. Fold your legs around me. So I could come down and push on the ankles and start to make it really uncomfortable with you. So some people say never fold the legs. You get your hooks into the thigh, and Jet's gonna pull my head back. He's gonna have the rear naked choke in. So slide it in and really make sure gently with all sensitivity you can to get the exactly to get the blade of the forearm on the carotid arteries. So obviously I didn't want to make this guy pass out. It wasn't necessary. But what I did want to do is make him uncomfortable. So Jet is going to reach for his bicep here. Reach for your bicep inside. Great. And then he's going to put the other hand around me, behind my head. And he's going to push into my head. He's going to inhale and inflate his lungs. Great. Now these legs, notice that he doesn't have his legs around me. So that's an issue. He actually needs to have the legs around the waist. So obviously I'm heavier than him. I want to be cautious for my son, so I don't want to crush the kid. So you're going to push down the legs while you lift up on the body. Think about extending my spine. I'm tapping to let go. So this is what I utilize rather than cutting off the carotid arteries here, but you want to have the option. You want to make the person think to defend here, to bring their arms up so that you can extend them down here. Really, really important, because the last thing you want to do is damage a person unnecessarily. You want to do the least damaging route to achieve the goal of taking a person, of restraining a person. So when I say least damaging, all you really want to do is make sure that the person can't move or is focused on their breathing. And for that, and to getting to the point of Tai Chi, the concept here. Now, I also want, before I finish my sentence here, I want to be cautious and conscious of how I'm describing this. Right now, my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu experience is with John Machado, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, mostly with John Machado. I've received my blue belt from John Machado, so I'm not at a high belt level in Jiu-Jitsu. However, I've trained for a very long time. It took me 7 years to get that blue belt because I come from Tai Chi. There's no belts in Tai Chi. I was already at a high level of Tai Chi push hands when I went to train with John Machado from my competitions on the U.S. Tai Chi push hands team under Coach Josh Wasted. So that being said, I would compete I would play with judo players, play with black belts with my white belt on because my skill level was at that level. With jiu-jitsu in a similar way, I would play with the highest level of people, regardless of the belt, because while I have respect for the belt system, I was not concerned about the color of the belt. I was concerned about being able to play, period. And so when I coach this, you might have more Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu experience than me, and I think that's always helpful. I've even learned last week there's another way to do the rear naked choke with the back of the hand rather than the front of the palm, which might be more efficient, etc. What I'm getting at here is less about talking about the expertise of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but more so the unique approach that Tai Chi has afforded me to this particular moment that I utilized in a real-world combat situation last week. And how that can be helpful to you, I hope that it is. And so that was a little disclaimer as we continue here. So please put the fingers on the bicep. So here, my strategy was just making sure that I was extending the body of the person, of the attacker, extending the body, making it so that he would focus on his breathing and use his endurance to maintain his breath. I put enough strength on my arm to make sure that he would put strength back to keep me here. I know I can keep my arm in this position, holding my bicep, because I'm very well trained at maintaining postures from Tai Chi. So I knew I could maintain a posture for a very long time. Shaolin Kung Fu also teaches you, if you train the Shaolin Temple or with any Shaolin monks, teaches you to start to think about different angles of the muscle, of a particular muscle, to work different strands, to get energy out of different strands of muscle by slightly changing the angle so that you can work, push the endurance that much longer to carry a barrel a few miles, etc. How can you carry an object or a person for a very long time without letting go? So being able to hold these postures is very, very important. And it's the thinking and this training that goes into how that thinking is applied in training that'll prepare you for holding a posture like this for an extended period of time. Like for myself, it's 45 minutes last week with my foot falling asleep. So extending the person, making them think about
coming up here so that they can breathe. But your intention is not to cut off their circulation or to even make it challenging for them to breathe. The intention is to make them think that it's challenging. That's what you want to do. So it's not like I'm going for a choke to make it to cut off the guy's air circulation. I'm making it so that he's fighting to keep his air path clear. The more he fights to keep his air path clear, the more tired he gets, because he's afraid that if he lets go, he's going to lose his ability to breathe. Of course, we know that that's not the case, because we have no desire to hurt the person or to take we don't want to make them pass out. We don't want to take their life. None of that. All we want to do is keep them still. So slightly every few moments, I would engage. I would push down here, which would make the spine feel like it's extending. It's a gentle stretch. And keeping this up here, making it feel like it's about to become tighter. And that fear engages, the person starts to fight. So now he's fighting with my bicep, which is locked over here. He's fighting with my arm and this triangle choke here. That's not really a choke. It's just a position. So let's get up for a second. So the concept, now you get some circulation back. So the concept is so important of playing with the opponent's fears and playing with their perception. When someone thinks that something bad can happen, or they think that they're in danger, they're going to react a certain way. And you can take advantage of that person's reactions and make them expend energy while you know you're keeping yourself and them safe. So the more the attacker expended energy, the more I knew that he would get tired, and that I knew I could maintain my posture and my position. Really, really important when it comes to any martial posture in which you are playing with a person toward a goal. Really, at any martial moment. The thing I love about Tai Chi push hands and the opportunity in Tai Chi push hands is that Tai Chi push hands has so little lexicon when it comes to a dynamic strategic system. It has lexicon, it has language to talk about certain types of techniques, but not necessarily how those techniques string together, and especially not how those techniques strategically string together to get an end result. And so that's a lot of what we do on this channel. As we talk about Tai Chi, talk about the postures, the positions, and how they strategically connect to a particular end result. So let's go over here and taking the Tai Chi thinking, mixing it with some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu thinking, and I'll demonstrate on my son. And that, all right, he's out. Okay, so here, I have my little guy here. I have my hooks in. I put my hooks in. Now, you may not get the hooks at first. So the first thing I'm going to go for is the choke now, or the position of the choke. The second I go for it, a person naturally often wants to defend. So he's already defending. He's pulling down my arm. And if you're not aware already, if someone ever puts this on you, the first place you do is you turn your chin to the corner, to the elbow, pocket the elbow, and try to work your chin into to escape, so that the choke can't set in. So that's really smart. If you do know that, if you don't, highly recommend spending some time on there. So here, I have my guy in this position. I have my hand on the bicep, I have my other arm up. Again, I have my palm on the back of his head. Some people now, I've been told a few weeks ago, putting the palm on your own chest and extending forward, of course, with the bicep, but I'm just demonstrating. I'm going to do it my old way. And here, I have this wonderful choke here. So we'll slide down a little bit to get some more mat. So I get my hooks in. I'm going to lie down with this guy. Right here, and behind his neck. So obviously, I'm not choking him at all. This is very open. There's all this space right here. If I want to make it tighter, I go tighter. You have to defend a little bit. So pull away. Yeah. So once again, if I want to extend, and notice that if you even watch the video, you'll notice that I didn't even have the choke in all the way, or the shape in all the way with the bicep. I was actually keeping my hand here, and I could slide it lower if I want, or keep it out. Now, again, that's because I was confident in my ability to maintain the position. Yeah, of course, if you're playing jiu-jitsu, it's a horrible thing. If you're playing against a jiu-jitsu player, you want to keep your shapes as tight as possible. For that particular situation, real world situation, I didn't feel it was necessary. I think with good reason. So
Here, he's simply uncomfortable right now. He's squirming because he's on my leg. It's a little uncomfortable here just because he's lying down. So here, the concept I want to show here is just the extension. The extension of lifting. Look, I'm just gonna let go and I'm gonna lift. And look at my fingers. I'm lifting. I'm lifting. I'm extending my legs down and lifting up. Now, if I have him here, that lift up is going to extend his arm. I don't want to do that to my guy, but that lift up is going to extend him a little bit, just a little, so he can feel the extension. And the extension, everything we do in Tai Chi is based on the value.
Everything we're doing in push hands is based on the value of the smallest space. And it's so important to remember. So important to remember when you're doing Tai Chi, when you're doing any grappling. It's the little bits of space that you can claim that will result in the biggest victory. Inch by inch, centimeter by centimeter, claiming bits of space. So I know that when I do the extension on the spine, on my guy's spine, and I'll do it without him here. When I do that extension, let's say this is the choke, or this is the choke. That extension, I'm going up, I'm lifting the hips, and I'm bringing my legs down. So all at the same time. Now you can do these bridges, inhaling up, exhale down. Inhale up, reach over, exhale down. These bridges are fantastic. The shoulder bridges to the corner. It's a great exercise at coordinating the breath work, the visualization, and the body mechanic to get that type of extension. Because even though this is obviously a different move, the concept is still the same. I'm inhaling, I'm drawing the color in. You do it too. I'm going to inhale and draw the color in. These fingertips, index, middle finger, thumb. I'm going to push off my heel, lift the hips up, and roll. Pick a shoulder. If I use my right hand, I'm going over my left shoulder. I'm making a nice little twist. My head is on the ground. It's helping me with a counterbalance, but my emphasis is on the shoulder. I don't want to bridge on my neck because there are neck bridges that are very, very helpful. But this is not it. So we're going to use the shoulders to be focused. When you come down, you're exhaling and deflating like a balloon. Inhale, up, 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 up. Go over. Exhale, deflating like a balloon. Everything's happening at the same time. Inhaling up. Exhaling down, 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 down. And I want to demonstrate this to my son because he's really never done this before, and we want to get it right so we can all work together to get it right. Put your butt right here. Great. And turn to the side a little bit. So you're more room. And just lay down. Lay back, put your heels up, keep the legs up, bent. Awesome. So this guy is going to keep your hands here like you're doing jujitsu. Good. So your hands here. Great. And now you're gonna let's start with the right hand. You're gonna inhale through these three fingerships and draw the color into the lower dantian, into the belly. Inhale, push off the heels, lift the butt, and roll to that shoulder. Okay, so now let's make sure that we keep your body a bridge first. Why don't you just lift the heels, bring the hands in, and now lift the heels. So if you have the trouble that my son just had, we're gonna do this a little different way. We're gonna work up to it now. So just lift your hips up to the sky, to the ceiling. Okay, so drop down. So now we're gonna do this the yoga style. We're gonna lay down, and we're going to inhale, lift the hips up. Like you have two strings lifting just your hips up to the ceiling. Good. Straight up, straight up, straight up. Good. Keep your hands down. Relax. Good. And now see how this keeps your body. Exactly. Your shoulders and hips are square. It's like a square. Great. So you want to keep the shoulders and hips square while you're doing this kind of thing. And drop it down. And now lift it back up. All the way up like you have two strings. Good. And keep your head straight too. If you're looking at me, don't even look at me. Yeah, keep it straight. Excellent. Drop down. Now, keep structure to your legs. So if you feel your knees coming out, etc., everything that we do has to have intentional structure. And if you are natural, then the intention should be natural structure. But natural without mindfulness is sloppiness. So you want to have the mind check in with the entire body first. So when you do, and this is pretty much for any exercise, anything that you do, check in and see where the body goes to make sure that your natural reaction is in fact the right one, because it's not always the right one. Sometimes you have to make adjustments. Here, his legs are fraying out. So we want to keep them structured. And you want to inhale. What I mean by structure is you want to keep them aligned. Hip, knee, heel, up, go. And keep your hands aligned because you're not symmetrical right now. Symmetry is also very important. And when you're asymmetrical, that's important. When to be aware of when you're deviating from symmetry. Inhaling up. Or if the natural structure is deviating, drop down. Great. So now you're going to roll to the other side. Why don't you slide over a little bit and we'll make some room. I'm going to come in the middle and we're going to do it together. So here we are. Dropping down. Hands up. Like we're fighting. Like we're defending ourselves in jiu-jitsu. The hands are like windshield wipers. Sam's coming back in 1 second. All right. Sam is in the Philippines. He's joining us on Zoom. Everybody's welcome to these Zoom classes as well, as you know. Okay, here we go. Hands. Make sure your feet are structured. Legs are structured. Okay. So we're going to inhale. We're going to reach with the right arm. Up, 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 up. And we're reaching over. And look, we're picking a shoulder. So the hips are going up the same way that we just did. You have to be able to pick them up and reach over. And drop down, down, down. So you're going to inhale and you're going to lift the hips up. Think about lifting the hips up first. Just the regular way. Great. And now when they're up, take one hand and reach over and turn with the hips up. Keep them up. Yep, keep them up. Good, good, good. And drop down, 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 down. Exhale, down, down. Good. So now, let's inhale, lift the hips up. 2 strings, lift the hips straight up. Lift it straight up, Jack. Straight up. Okay, now that we're holding here, let's take the right hand. And now let's turn. Keep the legs as you're going to push off the right heel while you turn. You're going to keep the hips up and you're going to push off the right heel and feel the stretch between the ribs and the hips.
Oh, yeah.
You feel the stretch? And you're going to keep that, and then you're going to exhale, and you're going to drop right back down. So now let's do it again. So we're going to inhale, draw the color in through these 3 fingers into the lower dantian, into the belly. So now our base, if you're a Tai Chi practitioner, you may think about base as your legs and having root into the ground. Root is a concept. It's not about your legs. It's about the idea and the direction that you place the idea. So in jiu-jitsu, they have this concept of the arrow. And the arrow can be placed anywhere you make contact on the body, and you drop the weight through that position that you have contact. So if your chest makes contact with the other person's chest, you drop the weight intentionally like an arrow through that point. If it's on the hip, etc. So if you staple someone's knee down, you slice the knee, you staple the weight down like an arrow cutting through. So here, our weight is going to go like an arrow through the heels and then through the shoulder. We're going to pick the shoulder that it goes to. We're going to take our left hand, we're going to inhale, weight going on the heels, shifting to one shoulder and push off the opposite heel. So you got to keep the hips up, 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 up. Let's rewind it, because if you don't have the structure, then it'll start to fall apart. So let's just think about the hips going up, being pulled by strings. Come on up. Good, good, good. Hold that. Excellent. Hold that. Feel it right there. And now engage this other hand. Inhale, drawing the color through from the left fingers and reach across. Turning, turning, turning. Keeping the hips up, up. Extend. And while you're here, think about lifting the hips even higher. Up, up. Keep thinking about even higher. Yeah, even higher. Higher, higher, higher. Feel the twist and then exhale, come down, 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 down. Okay, one more time on the other side. We're going to inhale up and lift the hips straight up to the sky. And we're going to feel that stretch. We're going to feel it go through our neck, meaning that it extends, our neck is flat against the floor as much as possible. And now we're going to take our right hand. And while we have this lift with the hips up, as the right arm goes over and we pick the shoulder, we want the hips to go up even more and feel the stretch. Push off the right heel as you stretch, twisting, feel that stretch.
inhaling deep, exhale, come down, 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 down. Very, very good. Excellent. So this exercise I highly recommend. Highly recommend. Because it's fantastic. It's great for ab work. It's great for learning how to extend the body in ways. You want to bring your Tai Chi into the ground. You want to bring the Tai Chi into the seated position, into laying down in bed. Just being able to take it to multiple places and take these concepts. I cannot recommend jujitsu more for finishing. Tai Chi is fantastic, but it's not really a finishing art. Finishing has to do with knocking someone out, putting someone into a hard lock or break. And that's not to say that Tai Chi doesn't have breaks, doesn't have locks, etc. But we don't train as Tai Chi practitioners often the true finishers. And you can't really train the true finishers unless you train them repeatedly over and over again. And that's why mat work is so important. We're on mats right now, and being able to do your throws, whether they're Tai Chi or Sui Jiao or Judo, Sambo, etc., or Jiu-Jitsu takedowns, but being able to then transition from a throw into a submission. And a submission is a finisher. A knockout is a finisher. But both a submission, meaning an arm break, or a choke, passing and someone passing out or someone getting knocked out, all three of those are destructive. And so now we want to say, okay, how can we use knowing that we can go to the extreme of a destruction of a joint or a life? And how do we take a few steps back and say, how can we get to a point where we're controlling the fear mechanism of a person that needs to be still for the safety of others around them? And once we start thinking like that, once we get to that point with any technique, then I think we have some real value in our own ability to control, to have self-control and to exercise that self-control in the interest of the safety of the people around us in any situation. So I wanted to share this with you guys today. If you have any thoughts, questions, or ideas, you can always find me at Jan's Tai Chi on all platforms. Please support the Patreon. I keep forgetting to say that in the beginning of the videos, but supporting the Patreon is super helpful for building up the channel and making better videos, and for helping me spend more time on the videos, because I really want to take things to another level of clarity, and that takes time. So andjanstaichi.com if you want to get on my newsletter, my private newsletter, and or work with me directly outside of the Patreon for classes. So I love you guys so much. It's Jen, Coach Jen, and always feel free to leave a thought, question, or idea, and or share your own take on this stuff, because I love seeing it too, because we're all building this together and evolving Tai Chi together. Love you so much.